Hello everyone and welcome to the digital launch of issue 3 of Sonder Magazine, where we will have readings from our wonderful contributors. We were saddened that we have to again have our launch this way. However, we are so lucky to still have the ability to bring these beautiful readings to you in a safe way. Someday, we will be able to celebrate together in person, but for now, it is so lovely to share these beautiful and unique works with you. Thank you so much to all of our contributors for taking part and to everyone for the continued support during these strange and difficult times. You can buy your copy of issue 3 on our website now, and links will be left in the description box below. But for now, I will pass you over to Sinead, who will give you a bit more information of what will be coming up in this launch. I hope you enjoy and have a great night.
Hello to all of our readers and watchers, and thank you for tuning in. We hope everyone is staying safe and well. We honestly can't believe we're bringing you a third issue, especially given the time that we're in. We are beyond grateful that what started as a fun project for Orla and myself has grown into something that we love and can continue, bringing you pieces dear to our hearts that excel in originality, wit and personality. As you probably know by now, Sonder is all about bringing together unique perspectives in an accessible format, and we are so beyond proud of the finished product and beyond grateful to everyone who submits each time. Pre-orders for issue 3 have been open for the last 2 weeks, and anyone who got their pre-orders in was put into a draw to win a beautiful Winding Stair bookshop notebook, as well as a €10 book voucher. If anyone isn't familiar, the Winding Stair is a gorgeous independent bookshop based alongside the canal of Dublin city centre. They supported us since starting up Sonder, so we're only delighted to tell people to go there. The giveaway closed on Tuesday 22nd at 5 p.m, and I'll announce the winner at the end of the night. So thank you for tuning in, and I suppose I should stop harping on and introduce our first reader. So first up we have Grace Kelly. Grace recently completed her M.Phil in Children's Literature in Trinity College, Dublin. She is one of the co-founders of the teen and YA literary journal Paper Lanterns. Many moons ago, she spent her final year of her BA in Trinity, again studying playwriting under the tutelage of Marina Carr. Grace's writing has been shortlisted for the Allingham Festival and published with the Red Line Book Festival, Palm Size Press and Reflex Fiction. She is also a book reviewer for Children's Books Ireland in It magazine. Welcome, Grace.
Thanks. My piece is called Luscious. Annie contemplated showering. She took off her nightshirt and patted herself down with cotton wool and witch hazel, a compromise. She put on clean clothes. She ran her fingers through her wiry hair and rolled it into a tight bun. She grabbed her bag, keys, phone, wallet, and left her ground floor flat. The cold air soothed her flushed cheeks and tingled the tip of her nose. She marched on, into town, slicing through the breeze. She knew where she needed to go. She entered the shop. The smells from all the soaps, shampoos, and creams were calming, like drinking a mug of sweet warm milk. She walked towards the moisturizers, lavender, lemon, honey and vanilla. Have you tried any of our cream bars before? A beaming assistant asked. No, never, Annie lied. The lavender one looks nice. Can I demonstrate on your arm? The girl asked. Yes, please, she thought. Annie nodded, rolled up her sleeve and presented her bare arm to the assistant. The girl started to rub the cream bar up and down Annie's arm until it started to melt. Creamy cocoa butter and coconut oil. She massaged Annie's forearm and kneaded her palm with her fingertips. Annie let her arm relax and fall into the hands of the gentle assistant. It was a relief to just let go of her muscles, to trust in this girl to hold her safely for a moment. The warmth of the assistant's hands and the smell of lavender overwhelmed Annie. She felt her eyes prickle with tears. Please relax, she told herself. Just breathe. The assistant gently let go of Annie's arm and asked her if she'd like to buy the cream. I'll have a quick gander first, Annie said, pulling her sleeve down.
Thank you so much, Grace, for that wonderful reading. Next up, we have Cara McGill. Cara lives in Dublin. Her short stories have been published in Capsule Stories, Sonder, Crannog, Number 11 magazine, Silver Apples magazine, and the anthology Words to Tie to Bricks. She has also had work appear in the online magazines QA Poetry, Brilliant Flash Fiction, Rookie and Germ. She is currently organising the morning coffee writing competition with Sonder Magazine. She was the 2019-2020 chairperson of Trinity Literary Society and she tweets at words by Carol X. Welcome, Carol.
Hey, thank you so much. Keep an eye out for morning coffee stuff. Exciting things happening there. And thanks to Sinead and Orla for organising. So this is an extract from a poem I wrote back in February to the prompt, The Storms Gain Sentience. So yeah, an extract. Storm month. Saturday, 8th Feb. The night I met the girl with starlight in her eyes, Cara agreed to be my wingwoman. In fairness to her, Cara did a great job. It rained so hard I had to walk this girl home. The two of us huddled under my coat because hers didn't have a hood. Cara could only do so much, though. After saying, not kissing, goodnight, I walked home alone. Saturday, 15th Feb. I wore my best underwear, lilac lace, to a party I knew she'd be at, then spent the evening curled in the window seat, sulking, not staring, and listening for her laugh. Dennis saw me sitting there and told me to cop on to myself. He got stroppy when I wouldn't. The orange warning wind cut the power in the house, and the party ended early. Saturday, 29th Feb. Jorge promised he had my back. If I could just get her alone at around 2 p.m., preferably somewhere vaguely romantic, but also warm, he said, like a lodge in the woods or a private library. He would take care of the rest. It snowed in the afternoon. I sat in the cute, secluded spot I'd found, an attic-esque cafe atop a bookshop in town. Nursing a cold coffee, flicking the pages of a novel, and checking my phone screen every 2 minutes to see if she'd called me back. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Carol. That was brilliant. Next, we have Avril Caprani. Avril is an emerging writer from County Meath. Having studied modern languages at UCD, she has lived between Ireland and Spain for the past 5 years. This is her first literary submission. Welcome, Avril.
Hi there, thanks a million. This is just a small part of a piece I wrote called Bull Island when I was feeling fairly landlocked during lockdown. Today I began to think about how it will be to swim with you out on Bull Island again. I feel the middle of an August day, the surprising heat of a whole summer in Dublin. The sun glances off your face on the dart as I search for the musty seats against the backs of my legs, the stickiness of safety rails and the companionable sound of strangers travelling. After the swell of the station, you put 2 hands in the gorse. The air has been coconut for weeks, but the smell is still a heediness I gulp down in silent mouthfuls. There are stings and muffled shouts in the distance, the low, hopeful sound of bees. You once called me waspish, I remember. When we are taken in by the sudden and delicious coolness of the shade, you do a little skip. It's almost imperceptible, but I do it too. Soon it is full throttle skipping, and the breeze is smoky blue, with 2 bold chimneys in the distance as I selfishly beg you to please slow down, just so that I can savour the faces. Your own face is brown, and your tattoo pokes out from under your sleeve when you speak with your hands. I can only watch you and think that this day has come out of some glad nowhere. I make more of an effort this time. When the inevitable shyness creeps in, I hold the seam of my pocket between my thumb and forefinger and remember sitting on the step where I first met you. Peals of laughter stretch across my shoulders with the sun as the seagulls grow louder against a smudged evening sky. By the time we get to the water, my legs ache. You're humming softly as you pull your shirt over your head, and I look at your soft belly skin for one moment only. The small heave of your ribs is the best thing I've seen all year. Thanks a million.
Thank you so much for that beautiful reading, Avril. Next up, we have Serena Piccoli. Serena is an Italian poet, playwright. Her political chapbook was published by Moria Poetry, Chicago, USA. Her poems are featured in anthologies in the UK. Anthology One Manchester, The Quality of Mercy, Liverpool, and Hidden Voice. In the USA, Extreme, a social environmental anthology, Vagabond, Los Angeles. In Canada, June 2020, 845 Press, London, Ontario. In magazines in the USA, Giallo, Clay Literary, Wine Cellar Press, Prismatica, The Confessionalist, and in the UK, Abridged Forever and Ever in the Red 18, Nigeria, The Sub-Saharan Magazine, Italy, and Romania. She writes both in English and Italian about political, social, contemporary issues. She is a lesbian, feminist, human rights advocate, and you can find her on Twitter at Piccoli_Serena. Welcome, Serena.
Thank you. Among ruins, to Alexandra. We too stand tall among ruins. I don't look around anymore, like when I was alone. Now, I only have time to get into your eyes, belly, breast, mouth, vagina, arms, and I do not see the burning dust. I remember the runaways that feel illegal in your country, those who don't know where to start because they've never talked about to themselves, those who had sex in a hurry, instinctively, those who tell lies because they've been surviving this way, those who drown in the water of the mirage. The bricks roll to the ground to the sound of, don't be an homosexual because you offend God. If God is offended, then it offends me, or maybe I just don't care. The dust rises and falls on, you're too feminine to be a lesbian. Thud of stones and sky. Homosexuality is a Western perversion. Another high collapse. Homosexuality is a modern fashion. And while you landed inside me, fleeing from corrective rape, because lesbians, and on top of that black, should be straightened up, the ruins were demonstrating hatred in the city of youthful love. And now, my love, while I hold you with my eyes and I suck you with my hands, I am more powerful than any collapse in law that can take you away, while on these stones wind bloom in paper.
Thank you, Serena. That poem is so powerful. So up next we have Marie Gethins. Marie's flash fiction is featured in NFFD anthologies, Flash, the International Short Story Magazine, Jellyfish Review, Fictive Dream, Litro, Nano, Flashback Fiction, Wales Arts Review, Banshee, Synesthesia, The Incubator, The Nottingham Review, Spelk, Ellipses Zine, Words with Jam, Paper Swans, 101 Words, and others. She won or placed in Dorset Fiction Award, the short story Tethered by Letters, Flash 500, Dromineer, The New Writer Microfiction, Prick of the Spindle, and 99fiction.net. Marie is a pushcart and Best of the Short Fictions nominee and an editor of the Irish e-zine Splunk. Welcome, Marie.
Thank you. This is Orbiting. You know how it started, across deep space, telescopic eyes coming into focus, boom. Worlds collide, or some guano like that, our Big Bang. Whatever you said then, like luminaries crashing and forming something new and beautiful. It was texts and posts pinging across ether, comets, explosions, until it went supernova. Endless days, nights, me scrolling, floating in a cosmic abyss. Nothing for 2 months, 4 days, 13 hours, 22 seconds, then you liked a tweet. Not creation, just a gravitational retweet pool. You sucked me into your black hole. No light, no sound, swallowing up my planets, stars, galaxies. I sent a rocket reply on little bluebird wings. The sun is running out of fuel, going all white dwarf. Of course, you abandoned ship after a few lines. But listen, Star-Lord. After overheating the core, this sun nebula becomes a white halo. Visible from other systems, glowing angel bright. Steady now, no flicker. I creep up to 3 planetoids and click. Blocked.
Thank you so much, Marie. I really love that imagery that you use for Twitter. So next up we have Orla Cunningham. Orla is a third-year creative writing student in NUIG who adores writing poetry. He writes about anything and everything from family to the nature of poetry itself. Welcome, Orla.
Hi. This poem is called The Poison Bouquet. You hand me a bouquet of your summer flowers, lilies, elderflowers, daffodils. Breathe deep the scent, leave no air for our bouquet. Lilies die first, withering white, daffodils drain to bloodied buttercup. Elderflower, delicate charm to corpse arm. Exhale. Blow tumors into lilies, drift daffodils, the thorned rose make elderflower thistle. And back to you a poison bouquet. Prick your fingers, a rose red waterfall turning to whirlpool. Walking off to some distant healing, dropping my flowers as you go, looking to my hands expecting blood, only finding lily dust.
That's a fantastic poem, Orla, thank you. So next we have Robin Gill. Robin is studying English Literature and Drama Studies in Trinity College, Dublin. Her short stories have been published in Winding Magazine and Fighting Words annual supplements with the Irish Times. Her plays have been produced by DU Players, Trinity's Drama Society. She is currently an associate artist with the Axis Theatre and one of the 2020 Irish Writers' Centre Young Writer Delegates for the International Literature Festival Dublin. So welcome, Robin.
Hello, this is the opening extract to my short story, The Damping Effect. The rain is heavy by the time you answer the door, and the folded newspaper that I've been using in a feeble attempt to protect my head is sodden, all running ink and flimsy, disintegrating paper. You really should get an umbrella. I know. I leave the paper on the ground beside the door in your shoes. I'm not sure if you'll mind, but I don't really know what else to do with it. Why is it in Ireland, despite all the rain we have, people still refuse to be properly prepared for it? You laugh as you lead me into the kitchen. Nobody owns a decent raincoat or umbrella. I left my umbrella on the bus last week. That's unfortunate. It is, yeah. Your kitchen is very clean and tidy, and I wonder if you're the type of person who always keeps it so, or have spent the last while cleaning in anticipation of my arrival. You can put your jacket on the radiator if you want. I take it off and spread it across the radiator, letting my hands rest against the warm surface for a while. My jumper is wet underneath my jacket, and under my jumper, my damp t-shirt clings to my skin. Do you want something warm to drink? Tea? Hot chocolate maybe? Or a hot whiskey? I'll take the whiskey. You put on the kettle and start slicing a lemon. You found the place okay anyway? Yeah, not a bother. This isn't really true. I had been wandering around the estate for ages. Each little collection of red brick houses surrounding a green looked the same. Every street a variation of the same name. Eventually, I had to use up the last of my phone credit on Google Maps. I stood brazenly in the shelter of somebody's porch in order for my screen to function. My hands were so cold I could barely type. You open a press and take out some brown sugar. All the packets that have been opened are neatly folded and resealed. Your kitchen is probably always this clean. I can usually tell when tidying has been undertaken out of a sense of shame and embarrassment. Things hastily shoved just out of sight, clutter crammed into corners, pushed into the periphery. Loneliness often manifests itself in a mess that can't be swept away in a frantic last-minute clean. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. That story really stays with you. So next up we have Ali Isaac. Ali is a writer and blogger who lives in County Cavan. She has recently been shortlisted for the Penguin Right Now 2020 programme, the results of which will be announced in October. She has also been awarded a writing mentorship by Words Ireland and the Arts Council of Ireland. She currently has an essay published in the Singing Fly SS 2020 edition. Welcome, Ali.
Hi, I'm just going to read from the beginning of my essay, My Body is My Heterotopia, and thank you, Orla and Sinead, for publishing it. Okay. I am eating again, and it's worse than before. I am like a yo-yo, 1 minute up, the next down, swinging like a pendulum out of control. The lost pounds of weight, vanquished through a year of painful abstinence and determination, have rallied and sent reinforcements. A new army of fat cells invading my body. Another moment of weakness. I cave. When my mind sinks into despair and emotions are scattered, I focus on the physical. I assuage my body with soothing sensations, the melting sweetness of chocolate on my tongue, the tingle of the spines of a hairbrush on my scalp, hot water on my skin, the heavy scent of burning incense in the air, the numbing effect of alcohol on it all, the soft shield of sheets, pillow, mattress on my bed, the delicious descent into the nothingness of sleep. Without rational thought, these needs of my body drive me. I berate myself for my weakness while I am forced deeper into the mire. Mostly, I eat. I cram food into my mouth when no one is around. Whole tubes of Pringles, mountains of biscuits, bumper to bumper chocolate bars disappear into the aching void inside me, which demands, but can never be filled. It is instant gratification, but the moment the food stops, the pleasure dies, leaving only self-loathing and guilt. I must keep the conveyor belt of food chugging on from fridge to mouth. I replace what I've eaten, and no one knows. In front of others, I practice restraint. I know when to stop. I can stop, but not when I'm alone. When I'm on my own, tomorrow is always the day I will stop, the day which is bright with new beginnings. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ali, for sharing that with us, and you read it so well as well. Thank you. So next we have Sophie for a long time. Sophie is a poet and drama student from Dublin. She's the editor of Icarus magazine and has work published or forthcoming in Ghost City Review, Kissing Dynamite and Boston Accent Lit, among others. Welcome, Sophie.
Hiya. This poem is called Utopia Poem, or Even in My Dreams I Am Morally Compromised. And there are no walls, so all the ivy grows to twist over the county lines, pointing us to love. Joan is back and she is reading poetry. I am finally asking her about poetry. Joan is back and the last text she sent has not been missed. It is not even the last text. Lily is singing over a bubbling puttanesca and I am tasting with my little finger. She doesn't ask why I'm so late. Friends come to argue what color is calmer and what sea is cooler. There is nothing to fight for anymore. No governments to burn, no philosophy to knead and stretch. Here, everybody knows the right thing. This place is Dunleary at dusk. It is a flower shop at closing. It is a duvet that we have never seen the edge of. I eat bread with every person who has ever hurt me. They have returned and I forgive them before they ask. They haven't changed because people don't really change, not even for heaven. But I am not ashamed to want them anymore. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sophie. It's such an interesting poem and I love the imagery in it. So next up we have Anya O'Hara. Anya is a writer, artist and designer based in Dublin. Recent works include The Patient Will See You Now as part of A4 Sound Studios Project Award and GAA Mad as part of Dublin Fringe Festival. See anyaohara.com for more information. Welcome, Anya.
Hi, thank you for having me. So this is called List for A&E. Socks, clean underwear, and maybe pajamas. Bring snacks, crisps, Coke, and water. Don't forget your Lucasade. Charge your headphones, charge your phone. Bring your comfy coat that doubles up as a blanket. Bring a charger at least 1 meter long. Don't forget deodorant, wipes, meds, prescriptions. Shower, if you can. Make a list of everything you need and everything you want to say. Don't get your hopes up. Pack this all in a backpack that you don't care about losing. Thank you.
Next we have Orla Gill. Orla is a writer and environmentalist from Dublin who can be found too often on Twitter at @naturallyorla and on even more too many podcasts. She works as a conservation officer for the Native Woodland Trust by day and is co-founder of monthly poetry night New Romantics, dedicated to inclusion, growth and contemporary romanticism by night. Her work usually touches on her relationship to nature, her mental health and memory. Welcome, Orla.
Hi, thanks. So this piece is called Feathers. Hope may be a thing with feathers, but love so is fright, and the restless, shapeless wings of it come beat me all the night. Season's ending gives me nosebleeds from storms and changing pressure. Those nights so thick and close, my throat so choked with feathers. Those nights lost still at home, too hot, too cold, too empty, too full of claws and beating wings, and all my vices tempt me. Oh, hope may have fine feathers, but fear has stronger wings. In fight or flight or beating hearts, my haunting both will bring. And beating in my rib cage that echoes to my knees, until I march around this house a soldier to my disease. I hear it in loved ones' voices, in my blood and family. I see feathers carved in graveyards where someday I'll get some sleep. Oh, hope is a thing with feathers, beautiful, fast, and free. And every time I catch her, fear she catches me.
That's a beautiful poem, Orla. Thank you so much. Next, we have Jean Murphy. Jean is from County Kerry and is a copywriter by trade. He holds degrees in both business and advertising and even worked for a time as a stonemason. His passion for writing became an obsession after undertaking a course with the DFEI, and he's currently studying with the Irish Writers' Centre. As well as writing short stories and flash pieces, Jean is also working on his first novel. Aside from writing, he enjoys spending time with his fiancée and family, reading and going to gigs, and buying CDs, lots of CDs. So welcome, Jean.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. This is just a short piece from my story, Learning. Somewhere north of the city, John Cairns walked among the perpetual oaks ruffling the cemetery breeze. He paused by populated rectangular plats and granite-inscribed epitaphs from time to time to learn a little of his late friend's new neighbours. Chris walked with him, pointing out people of interest and the centuries that had passed since some residents were laid to rest. "Oh my God, that's almost 400 years ago, John," she would say. Or, John, look at this. This man was a famous poet or a diplomat," and so on. John would nod and give her as much background information on the person as he could remember, as he was told in primary school. This was John's first visit to see Damien's new headstone in place. Having gone through everything he had, the loss of his friend, the swimming lessons, relocating from the streets of Dublin into permanent residence, John couldn't face the unveiling. He couldn't bring himself to be there, to stand before the headstone for photos and newspaper interviews, to retell the story and explain once more why he did what he did. Today he would visit Damien in the manner that felt right. He could stay a while and speak to him if he wished, see for himself that his friend now rests as he should, acknowledged. They carried on towards the grave along the gravel path, its borders lined with plastic reeds and faux flowers, those of wire frame and polyester bloom. Their longevity allowed the dead's infrequent visitors to pay their condolences when they wished and feel as though they had completed an obligation. They could drop in and whisper, "Always in our hearts," to someone those same hearts ached for less and less each day. On every surface and in every scene, the grey of January, whose sagging clouds threatened destruction like those of a child's tears at breakfast, projected the true finality that defines a cemetery. John felt that he had preferred the visit to be over already.
Thank you so much, Jean. I really love the layout of your story as well. So next up we have Abby Connolly. Abby is a full-time student, part-time fry cook, artist and aspiring writer, or writer aspiring to be noticed, from Dublin. She writes poetry and theatre pieces, but her true heart lies in fiction, which to date has been featured in student-run magazines including The Attic. She hopes to write more devotedly in the future, but is first focusing on finishing her UG in English Studies at TCD. Some of her work can be seen at Ugly Pretty Scary. Welcome, Abby.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is just the first part of my short story called Under X. There were two problems, and they both centered around not knowing what was going on. The first, more broad, less immediate issue was not knowing what was going on in general, and the second, more acute problem was not understanding what Yannick's letter said. "What's this?" he demanded, and shook the letter in the face of the girl who worked in the postal shack. "New procedure," she shrugged, and recoiled from his irritation in fear. She had a sweet round face and a petite body, black shining hair, and an air of superiority that was only appealing in young women. "New procedure," he demanded, outraged. "Yeah, new procedure." Yannick's letter had been sent from his girl, and he was cut up about not hearing from her since we became lost. Once we arrived, we headed straight to the postal shack, and sure enough, waiting for him was a letter, only all the words had been blacked out aside from the beginning, "Dear Ducky," and the end, "Love always and fire and spit, Aggie." The whole middle part was missing. After cursing her out and popping his face cherry red, I stepped in, asking the girl what could be done about it, and she rolled her eyes and said he'd have to wait for the backup letter. Backup letter? Yeah, backup letter. The backup letter was the second installment of the first that would apparently make it all make sense. The first cut out parts the second filled in and vice versa. She said it was obvious that the censorship office hadn't quite got the hang of things yet. Feeling put out, Yannick grumbled that he didn't like it here. We had been walking around hungry and damp for days, and finally stumbled across a military camp that greeted us bitterly with "Welcome to Paradise" emblazoned on an ugly yellow sign. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Abby. I really loved your story. It's a lot of fun. So next up, we have Andy Hamilton. Andy is a fiction writer and journalist based in the west of Ireland. He is currently working on his debut novel, 3 Weeks in November, as well as a collection of short stories. Welcome, Andy.
Thanks very much for having me. This is the opening of the story Chekhov in Roscommon. Roscommon man Anton Pavlovich Chekhov likes to use the full name of every individual he encounters: Christian, middle, and surname. He is also partial to a good middle initial and will gleefully devour and regurgitate any honorific that accidentally strays onto the R371 between Ruski and Tulsk. He is the first and only person in the queue for Hennigan's bus, the service that will take him direct, door to door, from his counsellor's clinic in Ruski to Cherry Orchard, the granny flat behind his sister Olive's house in Tulsk. He stands on the curve edge, neck arched upwards, eyes locked on the bus driver, who is polishing off the dregs of a Sudoku. Stand clear, luggage doors operational, says Chekhov. Stand clear, luggage doors operational. Chekhov loves to talk. The complex ebb and flow of a conversation in full flight never fails to quieten his mind and bring him peace. The problem, he finds, is recruiting an individual willing to join him for the entire performance. The door of the bus groans and swings open. "And a good day to you too, Pajo David Kaslan," Chekhov says, in reply to nothing as he climbs aboard the bus. Pajo avoids any act of verbal or physical movement, anything that could be interpreted as an inclination towards conversation. Anton Pavlovich Chekhov is going to move this kit bag, Leitrim colours, PJ Clark sponsorship, from the first row of seats and place it in the overhead locker provided, says Chekhov. He is then going to claim the aisle seat, the one closest to his good friend, Hennigan's bus employee and occasional confidant, Pajo David Kaslan, and as soon as is feasibly possible, attempt to perpetrate a conversation.
Thank you so much, Andy. That's a short story that I would actually love a prequel to, but I won't put pressure on you. So next we have a reading from Richard Barr. Richard lives in Belfast and has had several stories and essays published in the last few years, including in Lancaster University's The Luminary, The Big Issue, and The Scum Gentry, Alternative Arts and Media. The last year he's been published in The Honest Ulsterman, Misery Tourism, New Critique, Literature Online, and his work upcoming in Head Stuff. So welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm going to read the first part of my essay on writing a micro essay about writing a not so micro fiction. 1,000 words, some say only 500. Some are strict on 250 and no more. Thus far in the year 2020 AD, there haven't as yet been denominational lines drawn up around these various limits on length. No pedantic 250 worders booby-trapping the laptops of the zealous 1,000 worders with viruses or child endangerment videos. What to evoke in the microfiction? What character arc, tapering off at just the hint of the denouement, can be mustered in such limited space at such a greatly accelerated pace? It's like trying to complete the entire gestation period of a sperm whale within the confines of a dumbwaiter, and all before it reaches the top floor penthouse residence of some grand duchess. No, the skill and precision of the author of the microfiction must be as sure as that of a great surgeon, as assured and exacting with what they take out as with what they keep in. Scouring the interwebs for something to do on a day off work, it's lashing outside and there's nothing on television. You see magazines made a call out for material, short and flash, send us flash. Their deadlines a day's time, or even the end of the working day, that day you're off work, stuck in the house because it's lashing out and there's nothing on television, especially now since you've weaned yourself of neighbours and don't watch it anymore at all. So you set yourself a challenge. How hard can it be? Word limits 1,000 words, they say. How hard can it be? You open your word processor, stare into all that white space before you. How hard can it be? Screams back the blank white page, mocking your hesitant fingers. All that empty space, white noise, no deep and dark abyssness, but an empty blank white one instead. A tundra waiting to be colonized by your very precise imagination, tendering nothing but brevity. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Richard. I was thinking it's a pity we all had to be muted for that because we would have just been laughing. It's such a funny piece. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
So next we have Avril Wheelahan. Avril is from Mullingar and worked as an English teacher in Dublin for 10 years. She moved to Galway in 2018 to pursue a Master's in Publishing and Literature at NUIG. She now works as a content writer and is pursuing creative writing on the side, a mix of poetry and short stories. She recorded an EP of original songs in 2014, available on SoundCloud. This is her second published poem, the first of which, Tightropes and Tigers, appeared in Sonder's first issue in 2019, because we just can't get enough of you, Avril.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking my piece again. This is my poem, A Cuckoo Sings at Night, and I wrote it during lockdown back in April, May kind of time. So, somewhere between the sleepless hours of midnight and morning, I realise that it is almost masochistic to watch the news at night. Unwelcome reminders of the current state of things, after which I try and fail to fall asleep. Instead, I face a familiar dark ceiling and creeping thoughts of disaster. Death tolls taking their toll, alongside the infinite void of social distance, which has to win the oxymoron of a year steeped in contradictions. Together apart, collective isolation, virtual intimacy, as faces on screens only highlight a universal absence. Great lines on opposites come to mind. This, the best and worst of times. This, the love that tears us apart. Joy and simplicity cut with division, and desire for a life that's slipping like oil in hands we simply cannot hold. Somewhere between unrest and exhaustion, the mind is blank but racing, films, reelings, forced down feelings, emboldened by the night and unleashed into the heavy black. But just then, when all feels lost, and I'd welcome dawn at any cost, my ears prick to the faintest sound. In the distance, the unmistakable syllables, stirring images of the clocks that they decorate and the time that they disseminate. Two notes signal spring despite the night, a strange hour to choose a tune, and a timely reminder to never question the necessity of singing in the dark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Avril, for your beautiful poem. It's lovely to have you back again. So last but not least, we have Hannah Herman Conlon. Hannah is from Dublin and lives in London, where she scribbles as much as possible about strangers on the tube. She has been recently published in For Happened and the Jumble magazine, as well as recent short story featured in an episode of Lippy Kids. She has had a piece published in the Irish Times and contributes to literary and visual arts journal Uncoupled Dorka. Welcome, Hannah.
Thanks so much for having us all. It's been so nice hearing everyone. I feel like I can say that at the end. This is an excerpt from my piece called Learning to Float. The hardest part was rounding her back to make her stomach protrude above the water. If she could manage this, her chest would follow and she would look up to see her breasts, the mountains topped with fortresses of her nipples. She swallowed and leaned her head back, suppressing the instinct to rescue the tops of her ears, screeching silently from the cold. She could see without seeing how red and indignant they were. She breathed in, deep and low, straining her belly button. Think light thoughts. What would a balloon think about? She pictured her stomach, bloated by warmed air and buoyant. But there, nestled beneath her ribcage and above her spine, a blackened tangle of grief. She opened her eyes to see the water lap higher at her sides, threatening to engulf the mountains. Cold slashed her throat, draining the hollows of her collarbones. She opened her eyes under the water to see how bright the sky was, drawing away from her. She wondered idly how quickly she would sink to the sandy sea floor, even as she arched her arms overhead and heaved herself above water. Try again. We'll get it this time. Neon pink swimming cap, smiling eyes. She'd always thought that freckles faded with age, but the older woman in front of her, effortlessly treading water, had the freckliest arms she'd ever seen. I'll keep a hand under your back to help you. She nodded, obediently stretching her legs out in front of her. Pink swimming cap eddied water until she was close enough to put a hand on the small of her back. The woman's touch was so gentle, just to be imagined. She tilted her head back. It's the head that usually weighs us down. That's why we have to let it sink back and lift our hearts even higher. The sky pouted murkily back at her. In, out, she breathed. Pink swimming cap's breathing was slower and heavy enough to be just audible. The same age as her mother. Pink swimming cap smiled with her eyes before her mouth followed. She was looking for similarities now between the two. She closed her eyes and concentrated on her breathing, the steadying hand beneath her back. When she opened them, she saw something bobbing. Pink swimming cap had joined her, cradled by the water. Woman and girl had become boys, fuchsia pinked and floating.
Thank you, Hannah, for a wonderful and uplifting end to the night. We can't believe that's it for the readings. Thank you so much to all of the readers. You were absolutely brilliant. Thanks to you, we are so proud of issue 3 and we can't wait for everyone to get their hands on a copy. Your pieces are unlike any other, original in both content and style, and we are so honoured to be their home. Before we go on, I'd like to interrupt and announce the winner of the giveaway. So anyone who pre-ordered a copy of issue 3 before Tuesday 22nd at 5 p.m. was put into a draw to win a notebook and book voucher to the Winding Stair, which is one of our favourite bookstores in Dublin. I put all of the names into a random name generator. So I'm just going to click and see who won. So the winner is Emily Murphy from Dublin. So congratulations, Emily. You've won a gorgeous Winding Stair notebook and a book voucher. We'll be in touch tomorrow with details.
Congratulations, Emily. Thanks everyone for watching this evening. We hope you loved it as much as we have. It was such a special night filled with so much amazing work. Thank you so much to everyone for taking part and to all for watching. If you have not yet had your fill of readings, we still have the videos of our post-lockdown mini-series on our social media pages, and we'll have links to them along with where you can buy your copy of issue 3 linked below. Now it is time to say goodbye, but first here's one of Sinead's favourite songs to play us out.
Hey, this is really fun. We hope you liked it too. Seems like we've just begun when suddenly we're through. Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye. 'Cause now it's time to go. But hey, I say, well, that's okay. 'Cause we'll see you very soon, I know.